Welcome to Beat Diabetes. Today we're going to hear from a woman who was not diabetic, but her husband was. Not only was he diabetic, he had high blood pressure, and she wanted to help him, and she was determined to help him, and she succeeded tremendously. How did she do it? She was a little bit sneaky and very wise.
Okay, this is from a lady who says, "Thank you for all that you do. My husband was diagnosed with high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes." And believe me, those two go hand in hand most of the time. He eats a lot of fruit and he is a drinker. In order to show him how his sugar rises, she says, I didn't say anything to him. Well, not initially, she didn't. She will talk to him about it, she says. But in his mind, fruits are healthy, so, she says, I allowed him to eat his fruit, and after 30 minutes, I told him, let me test you. She said, I wanted him to see for himself. LOL. Well, his blood sugar spiked up. I told him he ought to quit the fruit, and he did. Amazing. We did the same thing when he decided he wanted a drink. I didn't say anything. But 30 minutes after he drank, I tested him, it spiked up, and an hour later, it was even higher still. If it wasn't for your instructions, she says, I wouldn't have known what to do because I'm not diabetic, but your videos showed me how to show him what he's eating and drinking is bad for him. I think that is so cool. This lady's not even diabetic, but her husband is, and she cares enough to start doing some research, found some of my videos, and discovered the simple but incredibly powerful idea of doing post-meal or post-drink, in this case, tests to demonstrate what's going on with your body and the kind of blood sugar spikes you're getting as a result of the foods or drinks that you are ingesting. So she tries it on her husband, and he agrees. He allows her to do it, and bam, with the power of that glucose meter and his wife's encouragement, is like, okay, no more fruit. Takes a drink. I don't know what it was because not all drinks will spike your glucose. Some will, some won't. Sugary wine will definitely spike you. Most beers will spike you. But in whatever he was drinking, it was spiking him. So he takes his drink. She tests him. It's high. She tests him a little bit later. It's higher still. Lo and behold, she says, you know, honey, you really ought to quit. And he does. She says, I want to thank you for that. We ate tacos as much as we wanted using romaine lettuce. In other words, substituting the lettuce for a taco shell or taco shells. He didn't spike. He stayed normal. So it's like they're starting to vet their foods. This one's good. This one's not. This one's worthy. This one is unworthy. Well, that's exactly what I did years and years and years ago. I started testing or vetting my foods, my meals, my diet. And I began eliminating some and leaning hard toward others. And then I incorporated new meals that I found worked. And lo and behold, here I am almost 20 years later, about 19 years later now, and still doing fine. She says, I check his blood pressure and his blood sugar. And now, get this, she's going to use a beautiful expression. Very simple, but very beautiful. She says, I test his blood pressure, I test his blood sugar, and here we go. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. Now, all is normal. Were there ever any more beautiful words than that? All is normal. All is well, in other words. Well, that should be the case, and that's what we want for ourselves spiritually, emotionally, and physically, and in our health. All is normal. Why is it normal? Because this lady had enough sense not to nag her husband, but to encourage him to go ahead, eat what you want, and let me test you, and then demonstrate it in cold, hard numbers. You know, in life we have two different concepts. One is subjective, and one is objective. Subjective is, well, this is my opinion, this is how I feel about something, and we all have all kinds of different feelings. Some people have a feeling that such a behavior is okay, and others say, no, I'm sure it's wrong. I feel it's wrong. The other one says, no, I feel it's right. Well, that's just a feeling. But there are some things that are objective. And your glucose meter is not going to give you a subjective number. It's not going to say, well, I think maybe this might not be so good. It's going to give you a 95 or a 125 or a 165 or a 255. It's going to give you a cold, hard number. No emotion involved, no subjectiveness about it. It's just totally objective. Here's the number. Here's what's happened to you. And she did that for her husband, and then she pleaded with him a little bit, sounds like, and bam, he changes. But if she had just nagged him and just said, oh, you got to stop. You just got to stop that drinking. You just got to stop that fruit. You got to stop that pie. You got to stop. You got to stop. You got to stop. It wouldn't have worked. The power of the glucose meter. I just can't push that hard enough. And the concept that the meter involves is called feedback. Feedback is a beautiful word. Feedback means here's the results of what I just did. When I was early in this Beat Diabetes YouTube channel, I went out to a driving range. I used to love golf. I still love it, but I don't have a chance to play it much. And when you don't play it much, you're no good, and that's depressing. So I don't hardly play it at all. But I went out to a driving range, and I showed the folly of going to a driving range and hitting a golf ball with a red bandana tied around your eyes. In other words, you're blindfolded. And if you swing and manage to hit the ball, which many of us wouldn't, blindfolded, some of us wouldn't even with our eyes open, but if you manage to hit it, but you're blindfolded, you have no idea what's happening. Did the ball go right? Did the ball go left? Did it dribble along the ground? Did it go high in the air? You don't know. You couldn't see anything. You might tell a little bit by the sound, but apart from that, you just don't know. But the reason people go to driving ranges and they hit golf ball after golf ball after golf ball is they're checking to see how it goes. They have an idea of how they want it to go. Maybe a high fade or a medium hook or just straight down the center. And if the ball doesn't do that, they say to themselves, what did I do wrong? What was wrong with my swing? So that's called feedback. You hit the ball, you look and see where it went, and you get instant feedback. Did I achieve what I was trying to? Now, that's what the glucose meter does for you, my friend. It gives you instant or almost instant feedback. Just eat a meal, wait about an hour to an hour and a half, and see where you are. And then try a different meal and wait the same time and test your glucose and see where you are. And you'll find that some meals hardly spike your blood sugar at all. They just don't hardly touch it. And you've seen me test all kinds of foods that do that for me. And here I am with my blood sugar issues that I've had for years. But I can eat meals that barely budge my blood sugar. And I can eat others that jack it way up into the sky. So feedback. And that's what your glucose meter does for you. It gives you knowledge. And it gives you information, and it gives you motivation. Motivation, my friend. That husband, once he saw what that food was doing to him, the fruit, the drink, and then with a little gentle persuasion of his wife, he makes a change. And now she says those wonderful words, all is normal. And thank the wife, thank the blood sugar meter, and thank God. If you've recently been diagnosed with diabetes and you've just discovered this channel, let me recommend that you go to our uploads page, which will give you access to every diabetic video we've posted since we began. As you work your way through all our videos, I believe you'll find the help you need. A link to our uploads page is in the description.